Alice swore to avenge her mother, but the next moment, the door opened, and her stepmother Mandy ordered her to prepare to marry the eldest son of the Sealock family, Louise. In reality, the marriage agreement was originally intended for her stepsister, Bess. However, with the Sealock family's original heir, Benno, presumed dead after a car accident that sent him over a cliff, the opportunistic Mandy and Bess decided to send Alice instead. They looked down on Louise, who was rumored to have a physical disability. On the wedding day, Alice secretly vowed that once this farce was over, her revenge would begin. Meanwhile, Louise, the seemingly frail man with a hidden condition, appeared far more complex than he seemed. He had already ordered his secretary to investigate his brother Benno and their father. After the bride and groom entered the wedding car, Louise pretended to be weak and informed his new wife that he had a condition that rendered him infertile, which suited Alice just fine. Her gentle and charming demeanor made Louise quite satisfied with his nominal wife. She was just as soft and kind as the rumors described. Clearly, neither of them was willing to show their true selves. Louise was pleased with Alice and perhaps even a bit moved. He disliked seeing Alice being forced to drink by others. His secretary informed him that Alice had lived a very difficult life with her family. After her biological mother passed away, she was abused by her stepmother. Louise ordered his secretary to investigate everything about Alice. Since she had married him, he would protect her. Fresh out of the bath, Alice looked stunning, reminding Louise of a painter, Anna, who had once captivated him. Showing gentlemanly care, he helped his wife dry her hair. Alice deliberately tried to tempt her husband, but Louise replied that he was incapable of intimacy and that theirs was merely a business marriage, so they didn't need to fulfill marital duties. Alice secretly breathed a sigh of relief. This was perfect for her. Louise's father, Ken, flew into a rage at home. Recently, Sealock Group had lost significant business to a company called King. When Ken saw Louise with Alice, he hurled a water cup at his son, yelling, "If your brother Benno were still here, the company wouldn't be in such a mess." Louise respectfully left with Alice after presenting their gifts. Alice realized her husband was in a difficult position. He was the eldest son but lived like a servant. Alice received news that, in an hour, Bess would be delivering the design draft to King Group. Knowing Bess's personality, Alice anticipated that she would come to demand her design draft, claiming it as her own. Alice pretended to be hesitant but eventually told her stepsister that the draft was on the bedside table at home. Bess retrieved the draft but was dissatisfied, shoving her sister hard in frustration. Louise appeared just in time to catch Alice from behind and sternly warned Bess. Louise gently massaged Alice's bruised leg, and she couldn't help but feel a hint of affection for the man in front of her. It wasn't bad having someone who cared. Soon after, Louise received the results of his secretary's investigation. It revealed that not only had Mandy and Bess abused Alice, but they had also repeatedly stolen her design drafts and claimed them as their own. Alice was not as fragile and easy to bully as she appeared. In reality, she was the renowned artist Anna, who ran a highly profitable personal studio. Anna's latest painting had caught the attention of King Group's president. What she didn't know was that the King Group president, who admired her artwork, was her new husband, Louise. Louise had founded King Group and turned it into the nation's leading conglomerate. He eagerly anticipated the moment when his father would learn the truth. Louise immediately recognized the design draft submitted by Bess as one of Anna's early works. He then announced that King Group would terminate all business relations with Bess's company. Louise planned to meet Anna for the first time as a fan. However, he unknowingly missed crossing paths with her. Determined, Louise decided to wait for the auction organized by Anna's studio to meet her properly next time. Meanwhile, Alice was being harassed by Bess, who used her mother's belongings as leverage, threatening to destroy a necklace unless Alice resolved the current crisis. Alice had no choice but to seek help from her husband. Louise had once mentioned to his wife his career history. He had worked as an assistant at King Group before recently leaving to rejoin Sealock Group. True to his word, Louise agreed to help Alice. Watching his wife fall asleep, he felt a sense of contentment. Just as he reached out to touch her, Alice, ever cautious, slapped him. Louise wasn't angry, finding her rather endearing instead. The next morning, Alice noticed her husband's swollen face. Luis could only lie, saying he'd been scratched by an overly cute rabbit. Later, Alice gifted Luis one of Anna's paintings, which thrilled him to no end. Both husband and wife felt satisfied with each other's thoughtful gestures. Soon, it was time for Anna's art auction. Alice strategically spread the word that the King Group president was a fan of her work, baiting Bess into action. She knew the foolish Bess would exhaust all her funds to buy the painting. That evening, Alice, disguised in a mask as Anna, inaugurated the auction. As expected, the foolish Bess spent a fortune bidding on her painting. However, the unexpected happened. King suddenly placed a bid of $3 billion for her work. Anna had no choice but to urgently halt the auction. While King was somewhat displeased, he ultimately accepted her decision. Anna then caught sight of a dispute between two men, her father, Alex, and Luis's father, Ken. The two were fighting over her painting, each vying to secure a deal with King. Alex seemed to hold leverage against Ken. Anna accidentally made a noise and was nearly discovered, but King whisked her into a room. The two shared a moment of closeness. Though King didn't know Anna's true identity, he found her familiar, even her scent stirring a sense of recognition. King mocked Anna for her fake auction, and Anna retorted, "You're the one who ruined my auction by placing a ridiculous bid." With a cold expression, Anna left the room. Soon after, Anna received a call from Luis. She had to feign that she was out shopping and began planning to leave the event early to avoid exposing her identity. Alex approached Anna with Bess, hoping she would part with her painting and sell it to them. Anna coldly replied, "A man who brings his mistress doesn't deserve to buy my work." This statement infuriated Alex and his family. After Anna left, King intercepted her, realizing that the woman before him had a complicated connection with Alex's family and that this auction was clearly targeting them. Anna, in turn, noticed that King had a mole on his collarbone, identical to Luis's. Just as she was about to remove her mask to confirm her suspicion, the lights suddenly went out. When the power was restored, both of them were still wearing their masks. Anna preemptively quipped, "Not very gentlemanly of you to casually try to unmask a lady," and quickly fled. Bess chased after Anna, claiming she was willing to pay any price for the painting. Anna's friend, playing along, convinced Bess to offer $8 billion. Predictably, the foolish Bess fell for it and promised to gather the money, fearing imprisonment. Previously, she had misused Anna's artwork and gifted it to King, leading to a lawsuit. In her car, Alice removed her Anna attire, transforming back into the gentle and demure Alice. At that moment, she received a call from Luis, who was on his way home. When Alice got out of the car, she bumped into Luis. Both of them hid their true identities behind their masks, resuming their roles as a loving couple, arm in arm as they returned to their villa. Early the next morning, Alice received news that her grandmother, the only family member who truly cared for her, had been hospitalized. Rushing to the hospital, Alice found her grandmother reassuring her that her condition wasn't serious and promising to help Alice divorce Luis once she recovered, as the engagement was originally intended for Bess. However, Alice simply told her grandmother that she and Luis were doing fine and that there was no need for a divorce. Luis, overhearing this, entered the room. In front of Alice's grandmother, he displayed their affection and vowed never to let his wife down. To buy Anna's painting, Bess sold off shares of her company, which Alice promptly arranged for her people to acquire. Bess then brought the painting to King, only to be rejected and accused of bribery. This ruined her reputation in the industry. Luis, under King's name, spread the word that while King admired Anna's work, he wouldn't accept gifts from someone like Bess, who had offended him. Luis knew that once this news spread, Ken would take the bait. With Ken's birthday banquet approaching, Luis planned to announce Ken's bankruptcy that day. A furious Bess, holding a knife to Alice's neck, blamed her for everything: her unreliable friend, King's disdain, her company nearing bankruptcy, and her looming imprisonment. Alice tried to calm her down, offering to sell the painting to Ken. When Luis returned home, Alice, worried he might discover Mandy and Bess's presence, kissed him passionately. As expected, the kiss distracted Luis from noticing anything unusual at home. At Ken's birthday banquet, Luis received information from his secretary that Ken was never supposed to be the primary heir of Sealock Group. The original heir was Ken's elder brother, a capable leader who had died under mysterious circumstances, leaving the company to Ken, a second-rate successor. Luis as King met with Ken. King expressed his unwillingness to work with someone untrustworthy. Desperate for investment, Ken admitted to having killed his brother and sister-in-law. What Ken didn't realize was that his confession was being broadcast live. At that moment, King removed his mask, revealing himself as Luis. Ken, realizing the truth, was devastated and accused Luis of being ungrateful. Luis retorted, "You don't deserve my gratitude. You abused me my entire childhood." Enraged, Ken attempted to kill Luis but failed and ultimately took his own life. Before dying, Ken warned Luis, "You'll never know the secret." At the memorial service, the supposedly dead Benno made a dramatic return, declaring war on Luis and vowing to reclaim Sealock Group. He deliberately provoked Luis, taunting him by revealing the reason behind their starkly different treatment despite being children of the same parents. Benno had been cherished while Luis had suffered 18 years of abuse, because Luis wasn't Ken's biological son. Alice comforted Luis, urging him not to engage with a mad dog. Luis ordered an investigation into the truth from 27 years ago. After Ken killed his brother and sister-in-law, he erased all traces of their lives. What truth was he trying to conceal? Meanwhile, Alice received news of a meeting between Alex and Benno and decided to follow them alone. Soon, Alice uncovered a disgusting truth. Alex had married into her family, murdered her mother, and seized her inheritance. Alice was nearly discovered, but fortunately, Luis had also been alerted to the meeting and arrived to rescue her. They hid in a corner, waiting for the villains to leave. Afterward, Alice bandaged Luis's wounds and left first. At home, Alice thought of her mother and vowed to bring Alex to justice. Luis found his wife crying and held her in his arms. Benno, having bribed Luis's assistant, succeeded in getting Luis ousted from Sealock Group. However, Luis remained calm. The assistant was actually a pawn Luis had placed in Benno's camp. Returning home, Luis pretended to be pitiful, jokingly asking his wife to support him. When the time was right, Luis revealed his true identity as King. Benno's plans to collaborate with King Group fell apart, and with the help of the planted assistant, Sealock Group returned to Luis's control. At this point, Alice also revealed her true identity as Anna, intentionally angering Alex. Upon learning that Alice had become the largest shareholder in the group, Alex was completely devastated. Alice submitted evidence of Alex's crimes to the police, leading to his arrest. Back at home, Luis teasingly called out Anna, to which Alice retorted, "And you didn't reveal your true identity, did you, Mr. CEO?" Luis lifted her into his arms and carried her to bed. For the first time, the two were completely honest with each other. Luis explained that he was perfectly healthy and that the rumored disability was an act to make his enemies lower their guard. The couple spent a passionate night together. Benno kidnapped Alice, though she was unharmed as Luis arrived in time to rescue her. A now deranged Benno mercifully revealed the truth to Luis. Luis was actually the son of Ken's older brother. Luis nearly broke down, realizing he had called his parents' murderer father for 27 years. Alice stopped Luis from committing a crime, reminding him that such a man wasn't worth dirtying his hands over. Holding her husband, Alice promised, "I'll walk the rest of the road with you." Benno ultimately died in a car crash while fleeing. Luis and Alice watched a meteor shower from their home, embracing their bright and happy future together.